Hello and welcome back. This one is the one you've all been waiting for. This album review is Spiritbox, Eternal Blue. So, done a bit of a bigger background information part than I normally do because I don't know too much about the back history of the band. So, let's dive right into that before we talk about the album. So, this is the debut studio album from the female-fronted metal band, and this album dropped, I believe it was it the 17th of September? Something like that? In 2021, via their own record label, which was called Pale Chord Records, but it was also released in partnership with Rise Records, which you may have heard of. Some places where you look say the band formed in 2017, but some other sources say that the band formed in 2016, so I'm not sure which is the correct date. The founding members of Courtney LaPlante and her husband Mike Stringer used to actually be in a different band called I Wrestled a Bear once, but apparently they left due to what is cited online as dissatisfaction with the band and seeking artistic freedom with their music. So they left and created Spiritbox. Before releasing an album, they released an EP and another EP of singles which they had released to collect up a fan base and build excitement before dropping their full album. And considering this album is their debut thing, like their first ever introduction to the world, like as a full record, it actually debuted at number 13 on the US Billboard Top 200, and I believe it was number 19 in the UK 200. So that's a fucking good start. Okay, so that's enough of the background of the band and the album. Onto the album we climb. And just for a little bit of extra information, this album runs for a solid 43 minutes and 7 seconds. So, with that being said, let me flip to my notes and we will go straight into track 1. The fuck? Which is Sunkiller. This track runs for approximately 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Now, if you've watched my first ever 6-song review, this may sound familiar. I did actually review that in my first ever one, and I didn't realise that it was going to be the first song on this album. So, in my 6-song review, I said Courtney kills the vocals, and I like how the clean vocals were paired with heavy instrumentation. And I also pulled out a line of Sunkiller Sing Me to Sleep, which I cited as starting off as a whispered line that then transformed into an awesome screamed version of the same line. And I listened to the song again, and my thoughts haven't changed on it at all. It is still a solid track, a good way to open the album. And it gives you a good feel for how the album flows. I'm just going to take a sip of drink a second because I have got a dry throat. Apologies, that is not very professional of me. I should have done that before I filmed or cut this out. Moving on, we've got track 2, which is called Hurt You, and this runs for 3 minutes and 46 seconds. Again, there are quite a few 3-minute tracks. They don't really go much longer than that, apart from a couple. And this is the final single that they dropped before releasing the full album, and they dropped this single on August the 20th of 2021. And this was actually the only single I did not listen to before the full album. It has a very interesting start that progresses into a heavy drum guitar beat that I enjoyed quite well. Like, it sounded really, really solid. And then Courtney's screaming over it with the opening vocals, and it just worked really nicely together. And then it shifts into what can only be really described as her angelic cleans, because that is the best word for them. They are angelic. And I really like the chorus of, I hope you find what you're fighting for. I am happier when I hurt you. Your medicine is the coldest war. I'm happier when I hurt you. So hold me to the grave, that's where you've carved my name. I hope you find what you're fighting for. I'm happier when I hurt you. Now, to me, this sounds like someone admitting to their loved one that they feel better about themselves when they're projecting their feelings onto them. Which I could be wrong about, but I did have a look online, because I know a lot of these songs have deeper meanings, and a couple people did have the same sort of feeling that it's about a toxic relationship, someone projecting their feelings onto their other partner sort of thing, and stuff like that. But if you've heard the song, I would love to know what your thoughts are on the topic of it in the comments below. Moving on, we have the song that I was most excited for, Yellow Jacket, featuring Sam Carter of Architects, which runs for 3 minutes 18 seconds. And admittedly, this one kind of blended into the end of Hurt You, weirdly. Like, I didn't actually realise the song had changed when I was reviewing. And Courtney's vocals chime in with almost a robotic effect, it feels like, because they're like altered slightly, or like pitch shifted, or they've been fucked around with somehow, because they do sound very almost extraterrestrial, like robotic. It's weird. And then the vocals, you know, they kick up it again into some solid gutturals, which then smoothly transition over to my man Sam from Architects, who starts off with some of his more cleaner sounds. And his first lines of, if I tie up the loose ends into forceful mechanical movement, hemisphere intuition, deal with the light if it doesn't enter. Yeah. Confused the fuck out of me, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what they were talking about with that. But I was just sat there. I listened to it several times. I repeated it out loud to myself. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And I read it out to my friend, and even he was like, the fuck? And yeah, it just left me kind of confused. But after that, it flows into a layered chorus that genuinely made me say out loud, oh shit. Like, you know, I wasn't expecting it, because you've got Sam's vocals, and then just underneath, to elevate them up, you've got Courtney's vocals as well, which you can hear. And the line was, where was the grace when I was asking for it? There is an absence of your phosphonetic fear, full of hate, perforates me like a yellow jacket. Where was the grace when I was begging and I was asking for it? Again, in context, I'm not 100% sure what the hell the yellow jacket is. Like, is it just a yellow jacket you wear? Is it a yellow jacket bullet? Is that a thing? Like, I don't know. Like, but overall, this track fucking slapped, and I'm really glad they decided not to make this a single, because it built up excitement and hype for it. Moving on, we have track 4, which runs for 3 minutes and 57 seconds, and this is The Summit. And it opens up with a softly sung style vocal from Courtney and very groovy instrumentals, and it feels like a good way to cool off after the last couple of blistering tracks, which is something they do a lot with this album. They have like 2 or 3 heavy tracks, 2 softer tracks, 2 heavy tracks, 2 softer tracks, and I actually like that they're doing that, because it breaks up the monotony of a lot of heavy, which I feel like a lot more metal bands could try and experiment with, because there are some bands that do have cleans where they don't give their clean vocalist a lot of, or clean vocals a lot of time in the spotlight. And just doing that would help, I guess, like, because there are some groups you listen to and you're like, okay, yep, okay, so what are we on? Oh, we're only on track 2 of 16, fuck. So just using like your clean vocalists, give them or clean vocals, give them a couple songs in between each heavy one. It's actually a good way to keep your listener engaged, keep the palette fresh, and not just blend everything in. And again, Courtney sounds incredible on this song. Like, her vocals are really good. Like, I don't know what it is. She is a great, like, a phenomenal clean singer. And the fact that she can scream as well. Yeah. And I won't lie, sidetrack, we'll get back onto the album in a second, but after listening to I Wrestled a Bear Once's stuff with Courtney, and listening to Spiritbox, because I listened to that beforehand, Spiritbox are the better band, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, Courtney didn't sound in her element in I Wrestled a Bear Once, that's the best way I can put it. Like, the vocals were muddy, she wasn't really getting a chance to showcase herself, I would say. Like, it was just a jumble of noise with the vocals. Whereas with Spiritbox, you can understand what she's saying when she screams or growls. You can enjoy her clean vocals as they dance over the background music, and it doesn't take a forefront either. They don't compromise on the fact that you can hear Courtney's vocals, but you can also hear the instrumentation. So I want to say, well done, Courtney and Mike, for leaving I Wrestled a Bear Once. You've definitely got a better band. And sorry, I said it. I've never been a big I Wrestled a Bear Once fan, but I didn't actually know these two were in the band until I looked up a bit about this album. Anyway, side bit done. Track 5, Secret Garden. This is 3 minutes and 39 seconds long, I think, and this was single number 4 that they dropped. I think. That might be wrong. But this dropped on May the 25th of 2021, I believe it was, and I had this track on repeat a lot when it dropped. I was enamored with it. Like, I don't know what it is about this song, but there was just something about it that kind of just pulled me in. But it's another upbeat, clean song. The fucking chorus of, and nobody waits for me, but I know, nobody takes from me what I grow, secret garden, disregard my heart, and nobody waits for me, but I know, nobody takes from me, but I know. It was quite a catchy chorus, because I found that getting stuck in my head at some points, and I found that with a couple other of their songs as well. Like, certain bits of the chorus just get stuck in your head. They're very earwormy. And to me, this could be wrong again, but this Secret Garden, I almost feel like it's a reference to a place in her head where she goes when things are getting tough. Like, you know, almost like it's a place where she's got her walls up, no one can get in, sort of thing, you know. She's got her own secret garden to relax, take some time for herself, you know, things like that. But again, I'm more than likely wrong on that. I don't know. I'm not Courtney. I don't know what these songs were wrote about. that's my interpretation of it for you guys. Again, if you have your own interpretation, please let me know, because I would love to interact, see what your thoughts are on this stuff. And moving on, we have got track number 6, which runs for just under 3 minutes, 2 minutes 57 to be precise, and this is Silk in the Strings. Didn't really have a lot to say on this song, actually, because it kind of went by very quickly. But with this one, we're back into the heavy stuff again, and this one just goes hard from the word go, like crazy. Like, it went so fast that I really didn't get a chance to write it down, anything. And I did go back again and listen to it, and again, it just went by like that. So I don't know if I really enjoyed it or what, but the song wasn't bad. Like I said, it was heavy. It just blistered from start to finish, and it was over quicker than you could say Spiritbox, really. None of the vocals... Oh, no, sorry. None of the lyrics jumped out at me, but that's because I was more focused on how hard the vocals were sounding. But that's about that. Moving on, we have got track number 7, Holy Roller, which clocks in at 2 minutes and 53 seconds. And this was the first actual single that was dropped off of the album around July the 3rd, 2020. And this song also has a second version of it, which features Ryo Kinoshita of Crystal Lake. But unfortunately, that version isn't on the album. So we're just going to brush over that one. Again, this is another blistering track, and it might be some of the best guttural work on the album from Courtney. The line of "Stand to the left of me in paradise," again, like I said in one of the previous songs, was one that I always found getting stuck in my head, and I would end up like just humming it to myself a lot, or repeating it in my head whilst I was doing stuff. Like, I'd be making food and I would just have that line on repeat, and it was, again, another fucking earworm. After this, we have track 8, Eternal Blue, the title track of the album, which is one of the longer tracks and clocks in at 3 minutes and 59 seconds. Again, as I was saying, this is another slower paced song to break up from the heavier tracks that we've just listened to, and it's got a lovely soft vocal, soft sound to this track. Like, it was one of the softer ones of the soft stuff. I need to stop saying soft, fuck me. And the very first line of "It's not that you opened my heart, folding like a reptile, colder in the light," pulled me right in from the start, and I don't know why. It was just a really solid opening line, and it's kind of like, what does folding like a reptile, colder in the light mean? Like, are you alluding to the fact that reptiles outside of light die? I don't know. Like, so I know reptiles, if they're not in a certain heat, they can get fucked up. I really don't know, and I'm rambling. So, moving on, track 9. We're coming into the latter part of the album here now. We have got the track We Live in a Strange World, which clocks in at 2 minutes and 59 seconds long. This is an interesting vibe to the song that, until about halfway, feels like quite a different vibe from the rest of the album, honestly. Like, and then it just kind of goes back into your standard Spiritbox. I don't know what I'm doing with my hand here. Fuck's sake. It has a really good ebb and flow. Like, it gives and it takes, and then it kind of pulls itself back and then moves forward, and again, this is another song that I found ended really quickly. Like, I was kind of like, oh, this sucks that this song's ended. Like, because 2 minutes 49 is quite short, realistically, unless you're a slam band and then you're doing like 1 minute 30 and shit like that. But, you know, it was definitely one of the golden tracks on the album. Moving on, we have got the track number 10, Halcyon, which was 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And it fades in, it actually fades into a heavy sound that calms down, and Courtney's voice just dances over the track effortlessly, and it sounds so good up until the end, where the heaviness just kicks off again to close this track out, which it was a good way to do it, because it was like a good blend of the soft into the heavy as well. Like, it didn't just harshly transition, it really just blended in, which not every band manages to master, the soft transitions from heavy to cleans and stuff. But going on, track number 11, 11, was Circle With Me, which was 3 minutes and 53 seconds long, and was single number 3. That was why I was doing it earlier. Released on April the 30th of 2021. And this song, again, is another one that mixes heavy and soft vocals with very groovy instrumentation and almost genty guitar work, which this one, again, was another song that I did listen to before the album had dropped when it came out, and was another one of the singles that I was playing a lot when it was out. And the chorus of "Feel the weight of a martyr, it could all be yours if you echoed birds of prey, traitor cut down the altar, it could all be yours, vultures circling the flame," is a very catchy chorus. And again, like Spiritbox seem to be doing with their choruses, it seems very cryptic. Like, there feels like there's a message behind it, but you can't quite work it out. But who cares? It's a catchy chorus. This band are really good at doing the catchy choruses, which I love to see, because some people, they just do a shit chorus, and then you've got like a really solid couple of verses, which if you don't have a good chorus, it's going to kind of like not bolster the rest of the track. So the fact that these guys have got solid choruses which flow into solid verses keeps the album moving. Moving on, we have track number 12, which is the closing track on the album, Constance. This track is the longest one on the album. It is 4 minutes and 37 seconds, and it was the second single dropped from the album on December the 4th of 2020. And I understand why they left this one to last. So, for those of you that don't know about this song or its music video, it deals with the concepts of losing a loved one to dementia and the effects that that can cause. And how scary it can be for not only the person suffering, but the people around them, watching them slowly become a shell of their former self, really. And this video, this song, it just, everywhere you look, people will say about, you know, it it evoked a real response, an emotional response. I've seen some people saying it made them cry. With me, my very first ever listen, I didn't get too emotional, but I definitely got goosebumps because I was watching the music video, and my brain kind of slowly clocked onto what the tones and vibes were. And the soft, haunting vocals which flow throughout really work to keep the vibe of this song somber and not have it be too upbeat. And there's some lines like, if my sun won't set tonight, I'll look around, but it's so hard for me. And give it up, I'm complacent, just enough to escape it. Or even the ones such as lucid trust, I don't want it, really stand out in the chorus, as well as it's hard to lose and wonder why. I've been waiting my whole life. It just really, really hits hard, knowing the topic of the song and the music video, and the fact that the guys that directed the music video, I think it was, or like in the band, have actually had to go through this. It's a great way to end the album and elicit some emotion from the listener or the viewer in the music video's case. Moving on to my final thoughts on this album, this album received so much hype before it was released. Like, fans were chomping at the bit for it to be released. They were calling for it to be pushed up. They were calling for more singles. They were just rabid. And I was worried it wouldn't live up to the hype. The singles were solid, but a lot of times when a band releases solid singles, there's normally a couple duds on the album. And this wasn't the case. It lived up to the hype. The singles painted a good picture of what to expect from the full thing. And I'm not going to lie to you, guys. It was really fucking hard for me to actually find my top 4 tracks. Like, I loved all of them. But after a couple more listens, going back through my notes, I managed to narrow it down to 4. So, in order, the songs that I recommend you check out if you do not want to listen to the full album to get a feel for it is: number 1, Yellow Jacket featuring Sam Carter. Number 2, The Summit. Number 3, Constance. And number 4, Sun Killer. So, the reason I've chosen these ones is Sun Killer, as I said, was a good intro to the album, and that will give you a vibe for the first half. Constance was a great closer, and that will give you a vibe for the more somber tracks on the album. So will Summit, which is just a nice clean song. And the reason I chose Yellow Jacket is because that one is one of the blistering, heavier songs on the album, and it features Sam, who, again, Sam and Courtney do a really good chorus together, and I feel like it just really is one that people have to check out, especially if you like Architects or metalcore and stuff like that. It's a standout track. It's the GOAT of the album. Moving on to my rating, I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. There isn't really anything I would say they could do to better this album. The only reason I'm not giving it a 10 is because I don't want to, go, oh yeah, your debut album's a 10, and then have really high hopes for album number 2. So I felt like anything lower than a 9 would have been a disservice to the album, because it was fucking stellar, and it didn't deserve anything lower than a 9. So I went 9.5, meet it halfway. And my only thing I want to say to improve for the next album, please get us some more features. Because you've shown that, you and Sam can work well together. You and Ryo Kinoshita, or whatever he was called, from Crystal Lake. I'm rubbish with names from like Japan and stuff like that. You showed that you can work together. Guys like Johnny Cardillo from Carcarosa and Angel Maker and stuff. I would like to see them feature on a track. I know you've got other friends within the music industry. Let's pull out some of your contacts, make some fucking bangers with other guys and girls. Like, I want to see what you guys have got. So, with that being said, I'm going to leave that here. This is going to be one of my longer videos, but moving on to the wrap up. What can you expect from the next 2 videos, I hear you ask? I've got a 2-parter coming. So, there's a female-fronted group called Ad Infinitum, and they've got their new album coming out in a couple of days. Chapter 2 of their saga. I don't know how many albums there are going to be. So, I'm going to get Chapter 1 done for the 29th, which is when Chapter 2 drops, and then I'm going to get Chapter 2 done for the 30th, 31st, maybe a Halloween treat. And then from there on, I've got the rest of them listed out that I want to do in order, unless people have got, you know, something they would like to see me review. If you've got some singles you would like to hear me review. If you've got an artist you want me to do a Let's Discuss on, like, feel free to give me ideas in the comments. Once again, thank you for checking out this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share it out if you have any friends that are interested in music reviews. That would greatly help. Check me out on Twitch at Raven7131. I think that's everything. I will bid you a farewell and see you in the next video.